as we get started with today's math lesson, you can see that I got some different color rectangles here on the screen. Now behind each of these rectangles are a couple numbers, and there's a couple questions that go with the numbers. I'm going to show you the first one behind this green rectangle. It's going to ask you, is the number 18, is it closer to 10 or 20? So you have to think in your head, if you were counting from 0 up to 20, when you were counting, would 18 be closer to 20? Or be closer to 10. Using the number line here that I've added, you can see that I've got the numbers from 0 all the way to 20. Now if I was to look at where the number 18 is, you can see that the number 18 is over here. So thinking about this, again, what we're trying to figure out, would 18 actually be closer to 20, or would it be closer to 10? And I think you probably got the answer there just from me drawing those lines. It kind of gives you a good idea of where is 18 at compared to 20 and the number 10. So hopefully you realize that it is actually closer to the number 20. Let's try the next one. Now that you saw me kind of show you how to do one, I want you to try and do the next one on your own. So now I want to know, is 12, a 1 and a 2, that's 12, that's not 21. Is 12 closer to 10 or 20? What do you think? You can point at the number, you can even say it, but here's 12. So think, are we closer to 10 or are we closer to 20? So here's 10. We draw a line over to 20. So think about which line is shorter. That's where it would be closer, because it's going to take a lot less of a line to get to the closer number. So with that number 12, it's actually closer to 10. Last one before we get started with today's lesson. Now it wants to know, is 19 closer to 10 or 20? So let me show you over here. 19 is right there. So think about, is 19 closer to 20 or is it closer to 10? So with this, you can see again, if I drew the lines, there's 20, and then all the way back over here is the number 10. So you can see it took me just a really quick line to get to 20, and it took a long line to get back to 10. So that one, again, would be closer to 20. So moving on with today's lesson, the big thing that we're going to actually have you guys practice, which is going to be actually pretty easy, is going to be using dice to add two numbers. And if we get time, we might even add in more than just 2 dice. We might go up to 3 dice, maybe even 4 dice to practice adding numbers. So let me show you what I mean by this. One of the things to review is what are the different parts of this number model here that you can see. So I've got 2 parts down here. I've got something that's called an addition fact, and then I've got a part that's called the sum. So can you guys point on here? I'll give you a hint. I'll draw a circle around the 2 different parts. So this is going to be a part, the 5 plus 1, and then the number 6 is going to be a part. So if I was to drag the word addition fact, would it go underneath 5 plus 1, or would it go underneath 6? We're going to do the same thing with the sum. Is it going to go underneath 5 plus 1, or is it going to go underneath 6? So let's start with, actually let's just start with sum. So where do you think the sum would go? Do you think it's actually the 5 plus 1, or do you think it would be the 6? Point to which one you think would be correct. The sum would actually be the 6. Another word for sum, we could say, would be the total. Okay? So the word sum means kind of the same thing as total. So that must mean that the addition fact is the part that we add together to get the total. Now, it's still going to be an addition fact. Now, I gave you a hint that we might get to 3 dice. So if that was the case, let's say we said 1. Let me get rid of that equal sign. So we were doing 1 plus 5. Let me get it straightened out here for you so it makes a little more sense. There we go. So we would have to make this line. Let me make it a little bit bigger for us so you can see here. Now that I have 3 numbers, this would still be called the addition fact part, because 1 plus 5 plus 1, those numbers together are getting added to make the sum. Now we would have to change our sum, because actually 1 plus 5 plus 1 does not equal 6. Do you guys know what it equals? 7 would be the correct answer, because 1 plus 5 is the same thing as 6. And then we knew that if 1 plus 5 equals 6, we just have to add 1 more, which takes us up to 7. So again, that was the different parts of our number model here. So let's get practicing with some dice. Now this is going to be something that you guys will be doing in small group with me, where we get to roll some dice and we're going to work with adding some numbers on the dice. Now if I go ahead and show you the dice that I have here, I've got a black dice and I've got a blue dice here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and count how many dots are on this black die. So 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to write that number 3 here. And I'm going to look at how many dots are on this blue die. So 1, 2. Now, to get my total, remember if you thought back to the addition fact is the two numbers that go together to give you the total. So all I'm going to do is just count all my dots. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So my answer would be 5. So this is what we're going to be working on. And now to practice this here for the next couple of minutes, I'm going to actually write some of these wrong. And I'm going to have you guys try to be detectives and figure out what part is wrong. So let me go ahead and erase some of this here. And then let me add our equal sign back since I got a little eraser happy and erase some of it. Let's just stop that from happening. Let's just lock those in place. Alright, so let's roll the dice here. You can see I got two different numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and write the number model that should represent these two dice that I just rolled. So when I'm done, I'm going to ask you to point to the part that is wrong. So go ahead, take your time. If you need to count these dots, if you need to figure out how many dots are on each die, go ahead and do that. And then point to which part is wrong. So if you were thinking in your head, which part did I mess up on? Point to it for me, please. The part I actually messed up on would be that number 7. And the reason that I messed up on that is if I counted these dots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, the correct answer would actually be 8. Okay, so let's try another one. I'm going to see if I can trick you. Alright, here's our new one. So you can see I've got the black die and I got the blue die. There's a couple numbers on those. So let's go ahead. I'm going to write these numbers. Okay, go ahead and take your time and count and think if what part of this would be wrong. What part of the addition fact or the sum? Which one did I mess up on? What do you think? If you said that I didn't mess up at all, you are correct. I was going to see if I could trick you. Hopefully I didn't. Hopefully you were able to catch that it was still 6. Over here the blue die's got a 1. And then if I counted all those, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So these two dice together equals the number 7. Alright, so let's go ahead and add again. So I got two more numbers there for you. Let's go ahead and do this and see if you can tell me what would be wrong. So looking at this, what would be wrong? Hopefully I was able to trick you on this one. Go ahead and take your time and see what you think. Actually on this one, I made 2 mistakes. I was hoping I'd be able to get you to just try and find one mistake, but I actually made 2. The number 2 is actually the only thing that is correct. You can see I've got a dot here and a dot here to show 2 on this die. So that's why I wrote a 2 here. Now, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dots on this blue die, but the problem is that I wrote a 5. So this one should have been a 6. And then actually the second mistake was that if I count all these dots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, the correct answer at the end would have been 8. So we've got time for one more. Let's go with one more. And to make it a little tougher, let's go ahead and add a third dice. So we'll have to add another number spot. Let's make it, we'll just go ahead and put a plus sign here. Alright, so let's see, last one of the day. We got 3 dice now. So now, just be thinking, which one did I mess up on? So I got 2 plus 6 plus 3 equals 10. So go ahead and take your time. Think about, did I mess up part of the addition fact, or did I mess up the sum, or the total is what we would call the number 10. So I'm going to change colors here, and I'm actually going to circle the part that is wrong out of all of these. Was it the 6 or the 3, the 2? It was actually the number 10 that I messed up on. I'll show you what I mean by I messed up on it. With this, you can see there are 2 dots here, so that's where that number 2 came from. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 dots on this die, so that's where the 6 came from. And there's 1, 2, 3, so that's where that number 3 came from. Now the 10 has to be what all of these together equal. So let's count all these dots. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So my correct answer instead of 10 should have been the number 11. So we're going to continue to practice with this a little bit more in our small groups, but that kind of just gives you an example of how we can use dice, whether it's 2 of them or 3 of them, to add numbers, and that we have an addition fact that we put together to make a sum, or what we call a total. And that's it for today. Great job.